Who's the essential ad in fantasy baseball and who is it time to cut bait on? We'll go through all of that in this week's episode of the Rotoworld Fantasy Baseball Ad Drop. My ad for this week is Washington Nationals outfielder Eddie Rosario, who's rostered in 34% of Yahoo leagues. This is likely just a short-term ad for your fantasy teams, but it's time to pay attention to what Rosario is doing. The 32-year-old is hitting .364 with 4 home runs, 11 runs scored, 8 RBIs, and 4 steals in 11 games in May. He's now up to 6 steals on the season after not stealing more than 3 in any season since 2021. This Nationals team is running wild, and Rosario's home to first time, which is more predictive of stolen base speed, is 51st in all of baseball, right alongside Steven Kwan and Julio Rodriguez. So he can run enough to continue to swipe backs. He started in 9 straight games for Washington and 14 of 18 games since Lane Thomas went down. So Rosario should continue to see a pretty good amount of playing time until Lane Thomas does come back. Rosario hasn't been a fantasy star since his 3-year stretch from 2017 to 2019. He was pretty good in 2021. And also last year, he hit .255 with 21 home runs for the Braves. So even though that's not star stat-wise, it's still pretty good stats that can help you in most fantasy leagues. He's sporting a more patient approach that has led to a career-high walk rate and the best contact rate he's had in 3 years. And given his playing time that we said he should get in the short term and his production of late, I think he's a good ad in 12 and 15 team leagues if you need some outfield production or some stolen base production in the short term. My hold for this week is Detroit Tigers starting pitcher Matt Manning, who's rostered in just 7% of Yahoo leagues. Now, Matt Manning is not one of our highly rostered players that we usually cover in this hold segment. However, he's one of the most dropped players in Yahoo formats because most people treated his Monday start as a spot start, and I really don't want you to do that. For starters, he has another start coming this weekend that I think you should hold him for. But also, I don't think the Tigers are guaranteed to bring Kenta Maeda off the IL as soon as he's ready. First of all, he's on the IL with a viral infection, so there is a vague timeline of when he can return from that. Second, Maeda has not been good this year, sporting a .675 ERA and a .140 whip with just a 17% strikeout rate in 30 2/3 innings. So there's a chance that the Tigers are going to give Manning a shot to really claim this rotation spot. There are some things that Manning did in the spring that really make me interested in him coming into this year. For starters, his fastball is a little bit harder, and he's throwing it with more induced vertical break, which means it seems to be rising more. It has a little bit less sink. That's really good, and with Manning's above average extension, that fastball gets on hitters quickly, and so that's led to better performance on the fastball overall. Right now, Manning is sporting a career-high 13% swinging strike rate and 23% strikeout rate. He's also changed his slider into a sweeper. He's throwing it harder and with a little bit more horizontal movement. And so that is getting a 15% swinging strike rate so far on the season. He's just 26 years old. He's posted really good ratios the last 2 years. The only thing really missing was strikeouts. And so I think these two changes could give Manning a little bit more strikeout upside. He's not going to be a huge strikeout asset, but I think it gives him enough to be another one of these Tigers kind of breakout pitchers to go along with Reese Olson, Jack Flaherty, and Casey Mize this year. So I'm trying to hold Matt Manning to see how this all plays out. My drop for this week is San Francisco Giants outfielder Jorge Soler, who's still rostered in 58% of Yahoo leagues. There are certain players that you can hold through an IL stint. I'm not exactly sure Jorge Soler qualifies as one of those. Even before landing on the IL with a shoulder injury, Soler was hitting .202 with 5 home runs and just 8 RBIs. The power for him will likely always be there, but he has a shoulder injury and a poor home park for power, and I think that those two things could impact the power production in the immediate for him when he does come back off the IL. The other issue is that his strike zone judgment has been terrible. Pitcher List has a swing decision metric that shows him falling down under the 25th percentile in Major League Baseball since the middle of April. He's making more contact before the injury, but swinging at pitches that he can't really do damage on, which has led to an 8% increase in pop-ups and a career-low barrel rate. I won't go as far as to suggest this is some kind of like late career dip, but you have a hitter who's hurt and struggling at the plate, plays for a team that is injured and has a poor lineup around him. And so I'm just not really sure what the upside is for Soler holding on to him unless you're hoping for a lot of solo home runs. So I'm happy to swap Soler out for a hot bat on the waiver wire right now. A bonus stash for those of you who hung around is Boston Red Sox first base prospect Nico Cavadas, who is not actually in the Yahoo database. Now, Cavadas is not currently on the Red Sox 40-man roster, which is part of the reason he's not an option to currently pick up in Yahoo leagues. But while you can't add him now, he is a guy I want you to keep an eye on. With Tristan Casas injured, the Red Sox have been playing Garrett Cooper and Dom Smith at first base. Cooper, who's a right-handed hitter, has been playing mainly versus lefties and has been playing fine but not great. But Smith is hitting just 156 with 8 strikeouts and only 2 extra base hits in 32 at-bats for the Red Sox. He hasn't really been a solid major leaguer since 2020, and I'm not really sure what he's bringing to the Red Sox right now. It could be time for them to waive Smith and see what Cavadas can do. The 25-year-old is at AAA right now, hitting .313 with 9 home runs, 27 runs, and 25 RBIs in 33 games. His average exit velocity this year is 91.2 miles an hour, and while strikeouts will always be somewhat a part of his game, he's also never posted a walk rate below 16%. He does not chase pitches out of the zone. He has a really great understanding of the strike zone. He's likely not a long-term answer at first base for Boston. He can't really play anywhere other than first base, and he's a pretty average defender. So there's not like a ton of upside here, but I think the Red Sox aren't really getting anything at first base right now. And so I think they have a shot to see what Cavadas can do. In on-base percentage and OPS leagues, I think his walk rate will give him a real boost. But this is a guy with some real power who could be an option in deeper formats if the Red Sox do give him a shot. So to wrap up, my ad for this week is Washington Nationals outfielder Eddie Rosario. My hold is Detroit Tigers starting pitcher Matt Manning. My drop is San Francisco Giants outfielder Jorge Soler. And my stash, or my player to keep an eye on in this case, is Boston Red Sox first base prospect Nico Cavadas. We'll check you back next week for more fantasy baseball ad drops.